ASL Prime League.
Welcome to Terraform for our first game of the night, our first mirror matchup as well. And of course, in the top left-hand corner, we do have our green Zerg player. This is Tefel.
And his opponent down the bottom right. It is, of course, the red Zerg player representing Team Spectre. It is Scorpion.
ZVZ, and we do indeed have one of the quote-unquote newer maps. Although I'm trying to remember, I think this was actually in the ASL map pool before it was in the official map pool.
Very true. In fact, I think all the maps, apart from Dash and Terminal and Bridgehead, were in the ASL maps. So, that's to say, Terraform and Moonlight Madness were in the ASL map pool before they moved on over to the original map pool, because we are just ahead of a curve here at ASL. How we roll.
That is very true. We do have early-ish pools. I mean, they're not actually early pools. They're just standard timed pools before hatch, coming out from both players, which, you know, if you were watching IEM earlier, you might have remembered Sue vs. Innovation, spoiler warning, game number 1, which of course kicked off with a 6 pool, and that was really something to watch.
Yeah, it tends to be. I actually didn't catch that.
Well, all right then. That makes that whole line of reasoning a lot less interesting.
I do want to watch that now. 6 Pools versus Terran is always an interesting choice.
Yes. It was quite the series, as of course everyone has been posting on Reddit about it. However, the point of all that was, of course, to say there's no early pool shenanigans. It's nothing crazy. The main difference, of course, as most of you have probably recognized, is in that gas. I believe it was a significant bit earlier by Scorpion. Looks to be about 50-ish gas earlier.
Yeah, just a little edge getting him that slightly faster Zergling speed, if that is what he chooses to go for, and most likely it will be. But other than that, both players sitting at about the same sort of builds. Scorpion with a slightly faster Zergling speed, just starting up now, and Tefel has to wait a little longer for that. But otherwise, all is good.
Not necessarily the sort of differences that right out of the gate are game winners or game losers, as ZVZ, at least I feel, in the games that I see, that it has so many opportunities to change hands between the just extremely important positional play that is involved with ZVZ, whether it turns into like Roach v. Roach Wars or, you know, Ling, Bane, Muta sort of styles. There's so many ways and so many different points at which ZVZ can either become a really intense sort of knife fight, or it can go kind of big and it can change hands as far as who's got the upper hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Can really turn on a dime, especially when the Banelings come in. And we see Baneling nests from both the players coming down. Tefel is hiding here a little more up in the main base, and so is Scorpion, actually. We do see players sometimes building them a little further forwards, just almost wanting them to be scouted and saying, right, don't all in me, I've got Banelings. I'll screw you up, I swear. Swear on my mam. You try it. But looks like Scorpion is actually going to try it with a bunch of Lings finishing up now. They're going to move out across the map. Tefel sees it. So he's got to head back. His own speed is just seconds away from completing. And as it finishes up, a couple of Banelings morph in, and he's going to try and hold this off. He should be okay, as long as he gets decent hits on his Banelings.
Of course, this is always one of those situations that I can never imagine playing in, because it's so high pressure, and just, a single second of missed opportunity can cost you the game in just a moment. And Scorpion kind of forced to pull back. He can't, if he gets, alright, never mind. The Lings turn behind for Tefel. He does indeed realize that there were Banelings waiting.
Yes, indeed. He can see that with his Overlord, but folds on nonetheless, and it's going to try and chase down these banelings. Might actually be able to get this one. Yep, that's a nice little trade-off there. Picks off the baneling and continues on going with his own banelings. I'm wondering whether these banelings have just kind of got out of control for Tefel. I feel like they don't really want to be there, but we'll see. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's a couple of free banelings there for Scorpion.
Yep, minor trades here and there. Tefel looks like he's going to be losing a baneling over by the third of Scorpion as well. Nice control, or nice splitting by Scorpion, just sending a single ling. 3 banelings moving forward for Scorpion, trying to find those opportunities. In this particular case, won't quite get the big baneling hits just yet. And of course, those sight blockers, which there are a couple of on this map, could be very, very dangerous for anyone with banelings, which is of course why we do see the overlords positioned very carefully.
Yeah, plenty of sight blockers on this map. Possibly a couple of banelings in the bushes in the middle might find some unsuspecting lings. But as it is, Tefel is just running around. He has a few lings up here. He's going to take out that baneling. Oh, actually.
Oh!
Ooh, careful there. Still does get the baneling. Trades against the lings for a little bit and then dashes on out. So, I don't know if that was a great trade. He's going to fight as much as he can, but just these little ling skirmishes that make ZVZ what it is. Both players backing off. And Tefel's in a pretty good position with his slightly faster third base. But Scorpion's going to be threatening that with his own Mutalisks quite soon.
Naturally, the Roach versus Muta choice, something that is made in virtually every ZVZ, and in this case, of course, Tefel going for those Roaches. The question is, with the hard counter that Mutas provide, do you have enough Mutas to stop the number of Roaches? Because in this particular case, we do have about 17 Roaches in total. About 14 of them are out on the field, a couple more in production, could be rallied across the map, and at the very least, this is going to be buying Tefel a lot of time. He knows that the choice, of course, is Mutas for sure, and that does buy him time to prepare, and well, he's even going to get this third hatch.
Yeah, and I don't know if I agree with the choice to focus fire down the Roaches with those Mutalisks, because the Lings are fighting most of the DPS there, the actual hatch. And of course, being much squishy, I think the Muta would have had a much greater effect. But I'm not sure it mattered either way. A lot of Roaches came in at the end there, and looks like Scorpion going for a little bit of Ling counterattack on Tefel's hatch isn't going to find the same success. So a really, really good start off here. Into the mid-game for our Polish Zerg.
Tefel certainly has opened up nicely. These Lings causing a lot of havoc for him. He hasn't really been able to establish that anti-airs. We saw the Lings coming in earlier, going to be denying those buildings, those spore crawlers from actually being constructed. And in this particular case, there's lots of Mutas here to do the killing. Ling's going to be working away on the hatch while the Mutas trying to clean up the Roaches. Not too many drones have gone down. Now, we do have to keep in mind on the other side of the map, there's a bit of a Ling counterattack going on, but there falls the third hatch for Tefel.
Yeah, Walty was doing great aggression across the map. Bit of a lack of any kind of anti-air at home. Really is costing him here, although one Sporkle does finish up, kind of powered by that Overlord creep. Oh my god, Overlord field here. It's a slaughterhouse for Scorpion's Nucleus. This is so painful for Tefel.
There was a moment there where it almost like he didn't even need to worry about building another Overlord, as he just, he was up to 200 potential supply, but now every single one by that third base has now been cleared up, and once again, Tefel, he's trying to make something happen on the other side of the map. My word, he's floating more Overlords there.
He's actually not supply capped, somehow.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wonder how many minerals he has now lost sheerly in Overlords. This is going to be the push in from the Roaches. That 3 Spine Crawlers there for the defense. A couple of Mutas and Lings going to be adding some DPS, but this is still a healthy number of Roaches pushing in from Tefel. Of course, he can't deal with the Mutas, so over time they may be enough to compensate for this attack. Third Spine Crawler going to be going down. They can now start working on the drones. More Lings going to be coming in. The rest of the Mutas forced to turn around, and they should be able to clean up this attack, but the question is always, at what cost?
Yeah, a lot of drones going down here, and Scorpion's in number 30. Tefel needs to be re-establishing his third base, trying to actually get a few spore crawlers up. It looks like he's actually going for a big all-Nidus attack. Maybe try and bring the Queens with him, bring some drones to build spore crawlers, and finish Scorpion off, because he's making no movements toward that third base.
Couple of links split off along the north side, and still the majority of this anti-air is just in, well, a couple of spore crawlers and, of course, a couple of queens. But this is getting to be, of course, that scary number of mutalisks, 21 in total. More overlords could be picked off. This is, of course, not a good game to be an overlord for Tefel.
Definitely not. So far, 22 overlords have died, and I don't think they'll be the last. The Hiveless Den gets taken out with a few volleys of Mutalist Fire, but that Nidus network, or the Nidus Worm, is now complete over by the third base. But there's nothing in it. There's not really much Tefel has to attack with. And he's going to load up a few roaches and a couple queens, but I mean, what do they do? 3 roaches and 2 queens? Maybe they kill this third base, but the main's being threatened by Scorpion's Mutaplot. He's got enough that he can actually fight Spore Crawlers now. GG.
GG. Tonight, we are spawning on the left side with our green Zerg player, who's presently down 0-1. Now, of course, this is dual tournament format in this group stage, so he does have an opportunity if he loses here, but he needs to start this comeback right here, right now. Representing Dignitas, this is Tefel.
And his opponent down the bottom right. The red Zerg player taking game 1 with his Mutalisks. Can he do it in map number 2? It is from Team Spectre, Scorpion.
There we go. Spawning pool on 14 coming out for Tefel. And it looks like it's going to be hatch first for Scorpion. Slight differences, and I don't play Zerg enough to know what the long-term kind of how this plays out in the long term, but generally...
there we go. Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like too bad economically for Tefel if he just goes for that hatch immediately after the pool, but going into gas much faster cuts into your economy quite a lot. Although Scorpion did go hatch gas pool, so it's not the hugest difference. So again, we probably return to the balance of getting your hatchery and the larval production from the hatchery down faster, or getting the queen and the larval production from the queen down a lot faster. And that's what it really comes down to in hatch first versus pool first. The gas throws a little bit of a spanner into the works, and Tefel is going to have a nice fast speed here. But Scorpion with the hatch gas pool, his lings are going to be fairly late, but speed will follow up quite quickly.
Potentially Tefel will have something planned for those lings and that speed that he is most likely getting. As, yep, there he pulls all his drones off of gas really quite nicely right at 100. Doesn't want to overmine when he could be getting those additional minerals. Going to start walking his queen down as well, down towards that natural hatchery. So on the other side of the map, we of course do have speed starting as well for Scorpion. Not too much further behind, about 20 seconds or so, but of course that's just kind of the how it plays out with the differences as you were referencing there, Trig.
Yeah, not the biggest difference, but
no.
It could come into play. Most likely won't. Either way, they're both kind of settling down a little. Scorpion does have a slight drone run to the minute, but it's only just by 1. But that Baning Nest comes down from a little faster. This time, this time right at the front, in a sort of non-aggressive, like more telegraphing his defensive intentions way. It also helps though to wall in queens or spine crawlers even. And yeah, it looks like Scorpion might need to do that as Tefel starts a wave of lings here. And I think Scorpion saw a bunch of eggs and built the spine, or maybe he just built the spine anyway. But I don't know. The Overlord did get driven away, so Scorpion only just now sees all the lings rushing across the map with speed. But a couple of veins morphed in, and we'll see how this goes. This is the ZVZ knife fight.
It's going to be about 30 lings coming out for Tefel, so that's what he's going to have to work with right out of the gate. First couple of Lings almost going down to those Banelings. Oh, once again, Banelings getting narrowly close to actually getting some big detonations as more Banelings are going to be spawning in for Scorpion. There's the surround on the Queen, but the Banelings are going to be coming back in. And of course, with the Spinecrawler and the range damage of these Queens, this is just constant poking away at Tefel's numbers. His Baneling nest just now going to be finishing up, so he can start morphing in Banelings if he wants to on the way. The rest of the Lings getting pulled back.
Yep, not the most successful attack there by Tefel. And yeah, we'll see how much it has him going on. He does have a little bit of a advantage, drone advantage right now, but as it is, it looks like he's going to be losing both these Banelings. And 2 extractors coming down here for Scorpion at the natural.
A couple more Banelings going to be coming in for Tefel. A couple of Lings being split off by Scorpion, trying to pick away at those Banelings. Gets himself 1 kill. Scorpion splitting off 2 more Lings, sacrificing themselves for another Baneling. Not exactly good for Tefel. He has not had very good trades with his Banelings, not being very cost-effective, considering he was slightly behind on drones. And again, he's just slightly behind on drones. Not a big difference between the 2 players, but every engagement is just hurting Tefel a little bit more.
Yeah, just a little bit. He does have that third base coming down at the minute. And we'll see. We'll see. That could definitely boost him ahead. But at the minute, Scorpion's moving across the map. Tefel has tons of Lings, though. He shouldn't take too much damage from this.
Small grouping out front, and of course now Tefel has that advantage of the close reinforcements, and if he really needs to, he could bring down his natural Queen just for that extra bit of defense. Scorpion keeping his Lings out in the middle of the map. You did already mention the third base coming down for Tefel. It's a little bit later for Scorpion by, good 70 seconds or so, but once again, Scorpion going for the Spire.
Yes, indeed. He does seem to like those Mutalisks, and who can blame him? Tefel's Hive, lair even, only just starting up now. Oh! Okay. I thought we were going to miss a big Baneling there, but looks like it didn't go off. Tefel's going to run around and look for some more damage. I don't think he's going to be able to find it, though, and there's tons and tons of Lings from Scorpion. He's running around in little groups trying to get great angles, and these Banelings, Tefel is completely trapped. Losing all his Lings here, but the transition into that was pretty nice. Has already begun from him. I mean, this Roach can't actually do that much to even protect the Banelings like that. Scorpion playing with fire, or probably more accurately acid, as those Banelings to detonate on nothing. But now Tefel has +1 on the Roaches and a decent Roach count. He should be okay against the Lings. That's not what I have to worry about.
Once again, we're not really seeing those Spore Crawlers on the production tab before they are needed. And it did not work out very well for Tefel in the last game. So I guess he hasn't quite read into what Scorpion is doing. He has, of course, not been able to get actual eyes on it, but now Muta's heading out across the map. Tefel definitely knows that they're on the way now. He should be dropping those Spore Crawlers, or else we may end up seeing a kind of hamstringing like we saw in the last game.
Yeah, a little bit. And yeah, there's at least 1 Spore Crawler coming down to the third base. That's kind of the one of the linchpins. Like, that's the place all the attack will be focused on Scorpion generally. But of course, if there aren't any Spore Crawlers somewhere else, that's where he might choose to move his focus to. But plenty going down all over the place. The Infestation Pit coming in as well. It's going to help out a lot once he adds in a few Infestors. They will absolutely destroy all those Mutalisks. And given that Scorpion is continuing to commit to them, like there's a couple of styles you can play in ZVZ with Mutas. You either go Mass Muta and then mix in some like Banelings and a few Lings to detonate on Hydras and clear up the remainder. Or you just go build about 8 or so Mutalisks and try and do a bit of harass, try and get what you can with them whilst getting an advantage and getting up your own Roach Hydra force. And the Hydralisks are what you want to mix in against the latter generally, whereas against the former, what Scorpion is actually going for, the Infestation Pit, the Infestors are ideal. They're incredible against banelings. They're incredible against mutalisks. And then later on, just a small amount of hydras to kind of pick away at their mutas from range will be exactly what Tefel wants. But for now, he doesn't really have too much in answer then. Just I'm not sure if he has enough small crawlers. A lot of these queens are being taken down, and they're difficult to replenish.
Certainly not the units that he wants to be constructing at this time, not what he wants to be spending his money on. We got 3 more Mutalisks on the way. That'll be bringing the count up. Well, never mind. He just added on 4 more. So the count will be at about 26 once this next wave of Mutas comes out. Now, you guys probably saw Pathogen Glands, of course, already researched. And with the first couple of Infestors out, a couple more on the way. It just takes a couple of money fungals from Tefel to really even things up. Lings along the south side going to get totally denied by Scorpion.
Yeah, both players kind of having those Lings in position for a little bit of run by, and Tefel comes in with the Mutalist as well to clear up those last couple of Lings that they run under them. And looks like he's coming for engagement. Oh, a fungal just barely scrapes the Mutaflock of Scorpion. Takes out one, but the rest of them are left alive. But now Scorpion knows he has to be really careful. But coming in over the high ground, he snipes 2 Infestors while Tefel isn't watching. Really, really nice movement there, using the lack of vision on that high ground. And Scorpion now, yeah, this is a free extractor. And, one fungal. Captures a few Mutalisks, but not really enough. A second, misses.
Ooh. Whiffing a couple of fungals there. The Spore Crawler doing some good work. The Queen trying to escape, wasn't quite able to make it out. The dance between the Spore Crawler and the Mutas still ends up favoring Scorpion. Not losing too many Mutas overall, a total of 5. A couple of those were a little bit earlier. So he's done a reasonable job, but he's going to be taking a 4th base, which of course is going to be important. He's going to be having that 1 base up, and as we head into kind of the later game, he's definitely going to need that income to keep his Mutas or his next unit switch going.
Yeah, definitely, and Tefel is going to need the income as well, but he just can't sustain it. And now a lot of Hydras here. Oh, he has to be so careful. If that fungal had hit, it would have been lights out for that Mutaflock, but as it is, he's just dancing on the edge of the range of the Infestors, playing a very dangerous game, but one he's expert at, as it would seem. It's so close. Every time he gets close to those Infestors. This is Knife Edge DBZ version 2.0. Again, this is just so dangerous.
Muta's bleeding off sort of 1 at a time, up to 14 down now. 14 have been killed off in this game. A couple more going to be traded out against the Hydras, or not even really traded out, as those Mutas were on more of a move command, moving past the Hydras, and even more Mutas being cleaned up. It's the big push out from Tefel in the middle of the map that Scorpion needs to be concerned about. There's going to be a fungal growth, catching a significant number of Mutas. A double fungal. That's about 16 Mutas that were caught, and about 8 of them were killed off. At least 10 more have gone down. 30 Mutas nearly in total have been eliminated. Now, the next stage of this attack is, of course, going to be one that Tefel would love to have more fungals for. Baneling's going to be rolling in. Ling's going to be going in. And actually, Baneling's going to be mostly hitting the Roaches, which is less than ideal, as the Hydras are sitting back just dealing that damage.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good engagement for Tefel. He didn't have the fungals, but he didn't need them in the end, and there's tons and tons of Hydras up here. He's going to be ripping through that static D, tearing down the sky, and GG. Dignitas Tefel managed to even up the score 1-1.
That one engagement going Tefel's way.
It's a ZVZ. Up here in the top left, we've got the red Zerg. He is playing for Team Spectre. It is Scorpion.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, representing Dignitas and taking back that last game, this is Tefel.
Oh, yes, and he played, I think he would have been like in a great position in the first game if he'd just built a couple Spore Crawlers back at home. And like he did all the damage you needed to do as a like roaching player against a muteless player. with the taking out the third base, getting a little bit of damage done in towards the natural, keeping those Mutalisks at home. But then he wasn't prepared when the Mutalisks actually moved across the map, and I think that was his big downfall. For now, though, I think it was a 14 pool from both players. I know it was from Tefel, but I didn't actually catch them. Scorpion.
15 from Scorpion, but again, just one of those things that when I hear Zerg players talk about it, it's like such a minute difference between the two that in most games, it's not decided by such small differences. Sometimes StarCraft is, but not necessarily every single game.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything you can do in StarCraft matters, whether you send your Overlord a hex to the left, a hex to the right, but most of the time, you're okay to just play a little bind, not even send your Overlord out. Most of the time. Well, I don't know, maybe that's a little extreme.
I feel like the difference between a 14 and a 15 pool and like not scouting with your Overlord at all, I don't know if those are comparable.
It's a little extreme, maybe, but you know, whether you send your Overlord like up in the top right, on Echo, for example, whether you send your Overlord up to the third base to scout for a proxy, or whether you just send it straight across the map. Sometimes actually sending it up to check for a proxy will lose you the game because you don't scout your opponent's units come across the map or something, or you don't scout the proxy if you don't do it. So, but you know, 99% of games, neither one of those things is happening. It just proceeds as normal. And yeah, 14, 15 pools, basically the same sort of thing. And the gases, by the way, also almost identical.
Yeah, pool, hatch, gas timings have been virtually identical between the players. Again, not quite exactly, but the next, well, of course, the choices that they make after this is what we're really going to be paying attention to. In this particular case, they both have decided to keep those drones in gas. They didn't pull down to 2 and then down to 0 drones. They both kept 3 in gas, mining away with full capacity.
Yes, indeed. And Tefel, not having really actually got too much scouting down his opponent, is going to kick things off with a safety spine crawler, and then get his Baneling Nest on the way. Nice and safe, nice and regular. Everything's going as planned for him for the minute.
Certainly, nearly a mirrored production tab for the majority of this game up to this point. Again, that spine crawler being pretty much the only difference. And, well, the first couple of lanes going to start to poke out for Scorpion. Not necessarily going to be able to do anything with them. He's had probably a reasonable idea of what his opponent is doing. It's very likely that they've played on ladder more than a couple times. I don't know, maybe these guys barcode a lot, and so they don't actually know who they're playing.
Maybe.
But it's very likely that they are at least somewhat familiar with each other. And, I mean, certainly in this series, there hasn't been anything too crazy, anything hyper-aggressive to really make you wonder what your opponent is up to.
I'm pretty sure speed just kicks in for both players at exactly the same time.
Oh, it looked like the same time.
Yeah.
Like almost down to the second.
Yeah. I don't actually have the game heart to watch it, but I'm sure you guys on the stream saw it. Either way, yeah, Tefel putting on a little bit of aggression here. And, oh, that was a pretty big Baneling connection. That's going to put a dent in his box. And another one. Hit 3 Zerglings is like an evenish trade, but whatever it was, it's good enough that Scorpion thinks, well, that was fine. Like, just cancel these spine crawlers. And Tefel has gone back to droning, though a few more Lings are still pouring across the map.
Yeah, Tefel will be at a slight Ling advantage, and of course, in many times, in many ZVZs, we've seen a Ling advantage completely disappear with the one slight misclick that leads to that lucky Baneling hit, or that big Baneling hit. So certainly, the, like, double Ling advantage could very quickly disappear. That's a huge amount of Banelings all morphing, and 9 at a time going to be coming on in. And a couple of Banelings now on creep, going to be waddling their way forward, and a couple more safety Banelings coming in for Scorpion, but these drones, 2 gone down.
Yeah, not too huge there, but the next round of Banelings coming in. And, oh, that's a pretty nice there. And that's a good hit on all those. Yes, gets the follow-up connection, takes out a lot of these drones here for Scorpion. And I think Tefel's done what he wanted. He can afford to go back home. His third base is finished behind this. He's sitting at 46 drones to 29. And yeah, he's absolutely not done. He's still morphing in a few more banelings. This is going to be more and more difficult, though, as Scorpion adds on roaches. They're going to be able to focus down the banelings much more easily.
Certainly the difference between army quality has suddenly taken a shift into Scorpion's favor. There is going to be the infestation pit going to be coming down for Tefel, though. I'm not sure if he was necessarily... Oh, no. All right, well, he sees the roaches, he cancels the infestation pits, gets his own roach warren, and then drops 3 spine crawlers over by his third base. So he's like, oh, you're not going mutas 3 games in a row. I guess I should probably get my own roaches.
I guess so, and I think he's in a good position to transition in towards roaches. Although Scorpion's been on them for a little while longer, his upgrades will be a little better. Tefel's economy is just leagues ahead of Scorpion's, and has been for a little while. So long as he can translate that directly into roaches, he should be in a really good position. And there's a bunch of banelings coming in. Oh, if Scorpion can get a good baneling hit on Tefel's banelings, that will be baneling-tacular.
That's definitely a real term, can confirm. The timing window...
I know these things.
You do know these things. You've got quite the grasp on the StarCraft II English language. However, the kind of timing window that Scorpion had where he was the one with roaches against a no-roach opponent has now passed. And, of course, Tefel now has a reasonable number of roaches, still technically down in roaches, but his healthy number of lings and banelings could certainly make up for the 7 roach difference between these two players.
Yeah, certainly goes some way towards evening that disparity. The upgrades, though, heavily in favor of Scorpion. +1 on those roaches coming up towards completion, and no upgrades at all for Tefel. And that +1 on the roach is going to come into effect in a big way on the lings. But I feel like what Tefel wants to do is really just smash through Scorpion's roaches with his banelings and try and clean up what's left with the ling roach. I guess he decides he can't do it, though, because he's going to back off.
I'm not actually sure. Well, he does have like all right Tefel, that is. Tefel does have all right vision of the roaches, but he doesn't have complete vision of the numbers, at least not quite at this moment. So, yeah, he does decide to back off. He doesn't want to commit to any engagement just yet. As with pretty much all ZVZ engagements, so heavily it comes down to the positioning that you have, so... That attack could have worked for Tefel, but he's certainly playing it safe. Going to be adding on that 4th base, and, well, let's see what these banelings do heading out for Scorpion. Yeah,
they're going a little ahead of everything else, but Tefel has plenty of overlords out on the map, shall we say, to spot them. And, yeah, he's going to try and set up now. It can be difficult to attack into this position on Echo. Scorpion's going to try and move in the roaches. Got to be a bit careful of those banelings, but without baneling speed, it's actually going to be really tough for Scorpion to close. And Scorpion has his own banelings to kill Tefel's banelings, and I don't know what's going on in this game. There's just banelings everywhere. Scorpion moves up the ramp, and actually he's going to close off the kill off the cooling tower to try and pick off a couple of Zerglings, but eventually does back off there.
No easy way in for Scorpion. As you said, he is going to have to back off. Now, there is one sort of element to this that we have forgot to mention, which is the Hydras coming out from Tefel. They're not out in great numbers just yet, only 5 currently out on the map. But, of course, once you introduce the Hydras, the Roach, Hydra, Baneling, like, dance that happens where you want your Roaches up front to take the damage from the Banelings and your Hydras to stay away, but then if your Roaches take too much splash damage from the Banelings, then they're virtually worthless, so there's that dance of, like, you have to kind of split your army in all just the right ways and have the perfect concave that makes this very awkward and very difficult to pull off correctly, but Baneling speed finished up for Tefel. Will he be able to get any connections? Not just yet. Or, excuse me.
Yeah, he does have a lot of banelings, though, and that has to be a little scary for Tefel, especially given how many Hydras he has. Now Tefel is the one with a slight baneling disadvantage. He wants to have his banelings get the connection with Scorpion, which adds another element into that Roach Hydra baneling dance you were saying. Tefel wants the banelings to go off. Whoever has fewer number of banelings wants their banelings to go off, and the guy with the more banelings is banelings. And whoever has more banelings wants their banelings to go off on the hide list, but not so much the roaches, but maybe the roaches. Oh.
Yeah.
DBZ at its finest, ladies and gentlemen.
It's kind of a weird place where in those Roach-Bane wars, sometimes you actually don't mind the Banelings hitting the Roaches, just because if the Roaches get so clumped, the splash damage is actually worth it. So certainly some ZVZs have been decided in that way. Right now it's just the saber rattling. They're sort of poking each other with their eye beams, just staring each other down, and they're like, hey, I've got an army. Yeah, well, I've got an army too. Well, you better not attack. All right, well, you better not attack.
No, you better not. No, my army's better. But, yeah, Tefel, I feel like, is pretty comfortable not attacking because he does have that fourth base. But, yeah, Scorpion is going to go for it here. And Tefel gets some good Baneling connections on his opponent's Banelings. But Scorpion has an enormous concave here. Tefel comes in with the rest of his army and is going to drive Scorpion back. Scorpion re-engages up this ramp. And Tefel isn't willing to pull it off, but the extra damage from these high lists that is being pumped out by Tefel is just a little too much for Scorpion to handle, I think. They dance back and forth, but the supply solidly in favor of Tefel now. Scorpion had 211 supply before that fight, now down 160, and the Remax hadn't come in yet, but Tefel is just continually building more and more units. Scorpion Remaxing on 28 roaches as Tefel continues to trade off.
Scorpion's going to be hoping to get his win in a bit more of a technical way, as he's got Burrow and Tunneling Claws both going to be coming in. He has had an upgrade advantage, but that's all but gone now as the Hydras and Roaches continue to tear apart the forces of Scorpion. He's looking down the barrel of a gun, but can he actually hold off? It looks like it may be just enough. Again, reinforcements constantly being pumped out for Scorpion, and of course they're so much faster to arrive onto the front lines. He's stepping forward, trying to stutter step a bit with his Roaches, now going to be forced to pull back. Another wave of Roaches just finishing 5 or so, just finished another 5 on the way, and the awkward Roach push of ZVZ. Oh, man, back and forth for days.
Both these players just don't want to commit to an engagement. They go, oh, no, his reinforcements coming. Oh, I can push. Oh, no, reinforcements. And it's just back and forth and back and forth. But now, again, they're just getting in this standoff, this Mexican standoff, and it's a good position for Tefel to be in. He has slightly more drones, he has that fourth base, the extra production lies with him, so he's more than happy to have these kind of wonky engagements. But Scorpion now coming in, he's got a big old concave here, but the Tiglis in the back, again, are just going to be putting out their little darts and just tearing through these Roaches, and it looks like Scorpion has been pushed back for possibly the final time, but 18 Roaches finish up just now for him. Oh, the detection is there for Tefel. He's going to clean up these Roaches, then he's going to clean up the 18 reinforced Roaches, and he takes the game. GG. Tefel, the Polish Zerg player, moves on to the winners match in Group A.
Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to support the ASL by hitting the button now.